Hey, what's good everybody? It's CJ Beatz. We're back at it again today. Today I was going to show you guys how you can EQ and compress a snare in Logic Pro X. That was actually voted on in our last video, and we have a new voting poll happening right now that you can participate in and let me know what video you'd like me to make next. This way you guys get to see what you actually want to learn. So anyway, let's go ahead and just listen to the pattern that I came up with, a real simple kick, snare, and hi-hat. And what we're going to focus on is the snare. We're going to be mixing it using an EQ and a compressor to make it stand out in the mix. I'm just going to solo out the snare really quick here and bring in an EQ. I'm clicking that EQ area. The EQ comes up. I'm going to turn on my analyzer. So we're going to see what's happening in this snare when we turn on the analyzer, and we can tell that there are frequencies all the way down to around 30. All the way up to 20K. So there's a lot happening in the snare. But sometimes you don't need to use all the component or all the frequencies of the snare to get the same effect. What I mean by that is let's take a look at, I'm going to turn on my high cut filter, and then I'm just going to solo out this 20 to 100 range. You can see something's happening there, but we can actually not hear it. It's not really audible. So do we really need it? No. I mean, there's no need for having these frequencies in there if they're going to interfere with something else, make something sound muddy. So if you can't hear it, get rid of it. That's a good rule of thumb. So I'm just going to bring back everything here so you can hear it. I actually like to cut off just a bit of that 20K range at the very top. It aids in making the a cleaner mix. And what we're going to do is turn on our low cut filter here, and then we're going to remove that frequency range completely because we really don't need it. And let's go ahead and cut out a little more and see what happens to the snare as we do that. So now it sounds like it's coming through a telephone, right? That's not what we want either. We want a little bit of body in that snare. So I'm going to go back and leave that that frequency over here in there. And what you might want to do is actually bring that body to the forefront a little more. So we're going to increase it by bringing that guy up like this. And all I did was actually select one of these. As you hover above this line, these different dots become available. 100 hertz, 250 hertz, 370, so on and so forth. That's 370 because I moved it there. Before it was 1K or 500, I forget. 2500 hertz, 7500 hertz, 18,000 hertz, and all the way up to 20K. All right, so what we're doing here is shaping the we're shaping this snare in a way that makes it sound better to us. All right, so I'm bringing a little bit of that body in, and what I'm going to be doing else is maybe bringing up that 10K to 20K range a little bit, or 10 to maybe 18,000, something like that. And why I'm doing that is I want to accentuate certain parts of the snare that I like, right? So you can accentuate parts of a snare that you like. You don't have to necessarily do it with this snare, but I'm just trying to show you that any sound is you can manipulate it to the way that you want it to sound, right? Or if you want to accentuate parts of the snare that you like. There's a lot to mixing, but I'm just giving you a little bit of a taste as to what you can do with an EQ because it's really powerful. So the next thing we want to sort of focus on, now that I brought in the body of the snare and a little bit of that smack, these are actually called body and smack. Well, the smack is around this area actually, but the good two terms that you want to know about mixing snares is the body of the snare and the smack. The body is sort of what hits you in the chest, and the smack sort of like what hits you across the face. So yeah, let's go ahead and bring in a compressor now. I'm going to compress this snare. So I'm going to unsolo this now so that you can hear everything in the you can hear the snare in this mix. So I'm going to bring in a compressor. Like I said before, I'm just using stock effects, so you guys can just open the project file and rock along with it. All right, so I brought in a compressor. I like to start working with a specific preset in this under drums. You can see it's drums, and then it's called Type U Tight Kit. And let's bring that gain down a little bit. We don't need it that loud. But this definitely aids in bringing some volume to the snare. Now we can up the volume of the snare totally. And you can see that, it has a lot of body now. It sounds fuller in comparison to the kick. I mean, the kick really sounds flat, right? And if you hear that, it really comes to the forefront and sort of smacks you in the face. And now at this point you could sort of like mess around with the ratio, the makeup, your attack and release. So for this type of snare, I think we can probably bring this to maybe 3. Let's see how that sounds. 3-to-1 in the ratio. Bring that input gain a little down. The makeup I'm not going to mess with right now, but we can mess with the attack and release. Let's make the attack a little bit faster. And this determines like when the compressor is supposed to start, like at 1 millisecond, 5, 10, 15, so on and so forth. So I'm having it start, at 1 millisecond, right at the beginning of the sound, when the sound comes in. See what happens if I bring down that ratio to bring down that release to around 13. Let's try 10. I can go further. I think that's pretty solid. See, and if I solo this out, you could see that it doesn't have to be that loud to have body and strength, you know what I mean? And this will help in when you add more instruments, because the last thing you want to do is like go above like 3 decibels to 0 to above that, because that's going to distort your mix. You don't want that. You want a clean mix, and keeping sounds quieter at first and then making them louder using these mixing techniques really helps out. So I hope you guys learned something today. If you have any questions, you know what to do. Put them in the comments section. You can watch some other tutorials right here. My name's CJ Beatz. I'm out for now. Peace.